Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Steve and I are back as we continue our look at the Hammer horror franchise with Frankenstein Created Woman, directed by Terence Fisher. After being reanimated, Baron Frankenstein transfers the soul of an executed young man into the body of his lover, prompting her to kill the men who wronged him. This movie was made on a budget of £140,000 and brought in £457,019 at the box office. I don't know why that £19 was so important to include, but they're counting every penny. God, this was a cash grab. This was such a cash grab.
From the start, it was obvious that this is one like, hey, let's push out another sequel. We don't care how bad it is. It's a Frankenstein, you know. Yeah, it was a shame, really, but.
I was saying as well, this is another Seven Arts collaboration. It wasn't just a strict, purely Hammer horror, which the rest of them have been distributed through Universal.
It was going to be something at the start. It gave it a false impression at the start with the guillotine, and I thought, could be okay, you know, with the bloke being executed and his son coming out to see it. But then it just
went nowhere.
Silliness then.
That time would have been better spent because I actually went back to the Evil of Frankenstein to watch the last scene again.
Yeah.
Because I'm going, how is he alive? Did he not get burnt? You know, did his whole shadow not get burnt down with him in it in the lab? And so I went back and I rewatched the last scene going, yeah, that's what happened. Okay, let's not have a scene explaining how he escaped.
No.
Or Franz, you know, rescuing him or anything. Let's not do that. Let's have this random scene.
Back. Bang. You would have, anyone who watched it, you would have thought, they're now the script writers for EastEnders.
I love the way, like, at the start of the scene, this guy's just walking to his death, you know, barely a bit of resistance, you know, not even tied up or handcuffed or anything.
No, he could have had a bit of a fight and done the runner, couldn't he?
Yeah, like, they had no grip of him. He could have been away, but...
And he was playing up to it. I'll tell you what it reminded me of. That scene from Life of Brian when he's carrying a cross, a crucifixion. Oh yes, please, you know.
Only, or what was it? No, I've got freedom. Only joking. Crucifixion.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, brilliant. But yeah, it reminded me very much of that.
But this is meant to be a serious horror and, you know, terror and all that, and it's yeah, I couldn't take it seriously. Oh, you're in focus. Check that out.
Steven's camera looks sharp today.
Yeah, there you go.
Lovely.
That's not.
All the way. Just wipe my hands.
Yeah, I was just saying, all the goo just goes right down the front of the camera. The ectoplasm.
The blob is.
Yep. I love the set of gallows. Just plunked in the middle of nowhere. I thought those things were like always in the town square.
Yeah.
Was that not the point of them, to be in the town square so that people go and throw tomatoes and stuff and get in it? It was entertainment.
Yeah. These are like up in the middle of a forest, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Waste ground.
Yeah. Like I said, the only reason for this scene at all was so when it came later to the court scene to go like father, like son. That was it. That was the only reason for that bloody scene.
Yeah.
Served no purpose whatsoever. There's 4 actors that weren't needed in the budget.
Why didn't you just say, I was, shagging the...
Well, he wanted to defend the lady's honour, you know.
Or was it the fact that he didn't want to be, caught shagging the ugly bird,
No, he didn't have a problem with that. He was, and he's quite open.
Yeah, but if it was a choice of
Father's attitude was a bit strange.
death or honor, I would have gone for the honor. Really.
Yeah, but is that not the whole hero, the heroic, but also if he did that, the plot wouldn't happen.
No, no.
A lot of this is just so the plot can happen. That's the problem. There's no story here. There's a set of boards of right. We need to get from here to there and to here and to here, and we need to fill 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That's we need Peter Cushing. We need to name Frankenstein, and yeah, with nothing else. This just flipping.
I liked how they brought him out of the freezer at the beginning, and there he was with his arms crossed. And the guy who played his Dr. Hertz, Thorley Walters, well, he's quite a well-renowned actor, like a B actor again.
Mhm.
He was in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, and Phantom of the Opera, and always gets like the B part. So this was quite a big part for him, and to play like the supporting actor really. But he just lifts his hands up, even though he's been in the freezer, and you see him all frozen with.
I love the way he's helping him too. You can see the fact that he's just laying there,
Yeah, and just, oh, his arms are not frozen. Neither is that one.
And then he needed gloves for the coffin, but yeah, touching the body was all right.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh.
Versus per ectoplasm. I've been sneezing something terrible today.
It's probably pollen and the dust and stuff.
Yeah. I went to the doctor and said, "Oh, I keep sneezing. What do you reckon it is?" He goes, "Hey, fever."
There we go. There's the first one of the stream. Oh man. This was silly.
Yeah, not a lot of story to it. And would they have just plucked someone up? Hey, you were wearing a coat, and that coat was by the dead man. It must have been you.
I would like to say that was stupid, but when you look at the police today across the world,
oh yeah,
I'm like going, no, the police can't be that stupid. And then I just have to look in social media and like go, yeah, there's evidence, them actually being absolute divs. The police seem to attract that sort of person, don't they?
Yeah, like the Keystone Cops, isn't it?
Yeah,
well, the Keystone Cops were more intelligent than that.
like they really weren't trying with us.
No.
If I ever feel bad about my writing or ever, I just have to look at stuff like this and go, yeah, well, they made near $500,000
Yeah.
quid, and they didn't give a shit. They quite clearly did not care.
So, yeah, they're definitely. I mean, it makes you wonder just why Peter Cushing, because surely they would have got a scripting on. Oh God, or was he contracted to do so many Frankenstein films? You don't know.
Especially with him and Terence Fisher, you might. Peter Cushing was never short of roles. That was the thing.
No.
Like he's done all sorts, and he's never been.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, but not other. He's done spy thrillers and all sorts, and the Amicus stuff, and the Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
He's never been short. If you look at his filmography, like he's never stopped working. He's done at least a film to 2 films a year during his career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not bad.
No, that's right.
So
he was always in work.
Yeah.
And that's what made him a household name, really.
Yeah, and I actually think, considering the sort of people that they are, I think it was some sense of loyalty. And I know it's hard to imagine that today, but I think back then there would have been some sort of, sense of, well, Terence is involved, it's Hammer, blah, blah, blah,
Mm.
talks
Mm.
behind the scenes.
Was this movie about a female?
No, this is completely. It's not
Yeah,
even. No, it's not.
don't ask.
It's not even remotely connected. It's just Frankenstein. As in, he's
Yeah,
his experiments have changed, and it's mind melding and mind transference of the soul, and that's the whole
this
thing. To have, I thought they were rescuing Cushing. That Frankenstein. I thought that was the whole point of the coffin.
proves you can die, but your soul stays alive.
Yep,
And
stays in your body.
keep me dead for exactly an hour. And yeah, you've got to. If we get a dead body, it's got to be less than an hour for the soul to remain alive. Wow.
Yeah,
But what did he? What was the sense in what he did to the headless corpse of Hans, wasn't it? And then they brought the female in, and she had the head of Hans, didn't she?
I
And
don't know. I thought it was going to be like Bride of Frankenstein or something. I thought they were going to maybe play on that.
yeah, but what was the
But
sense of bringing the headless body in? What
and
did he
also
have?
with the soul not have leaked out.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It stays remain the body, but if you remove the head, is that not going to like leak the soul
yeah,
out?
they brought the body in and they done all those bloody zappy things on it, didn't they? And with the umbrellas and the
Oh god, that was terrible. That
and
was awful.
and then done nothing with that because she kept the head, she didn't keep the body.
That didn't even make sense either. Oh my god, that was like, why are you doing this? What do you know?
Yeah,
What movie did it better? The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll.
yeah.
If they're going to have two souls or two personalities in one body, the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll did it brilliantly.
Mm.
Why should you have to go and dig up a corpse to remove the head, which is rotting, and nobody smelt that. Nobody
No,
smelt the rotting corpse of a head.
no. Oh,
And the hot box that you carried about in never leaked or never stank.
no.
Nobody noticed.
And she was in the thing, oh, I've just got to get my hat box that I've left behind in the carriage. I mean, that carriage could have done a runner and
No, he should nod it to the carriage driver. They nodded knowingly. It's almost as if he did it deliberately or something, or paid him off. It was
yeah, but,
no.
yeah, and she went about taking her revenge on the three goons, didn't she? And Huey,
Yeah,
Dewey, wasn't
but
it?
even before we get that, just even the scene with so Hans is their like their assistant, lab assistant.
Mm,
Hertz is
the doctor.
because Frankenstein burned his hands, that was sort of the link towards the last movie.
Yeah.
Uh so he doesn't have use of his hands anymore, so he uses Hertz to perform, under his direction. That's fair enough. If they'd actually just done that
Yeah.
and had him carry on with the same experiments.
Mm.
But this whole convoluted plot.
And where did he get the idea of oh your soul stays in your body? If they had explained that, how did he get around to that? Because before he was doing body parts, wasn't he?
Yes.
Body parts together, and
And
and now he's going off the body parts bit and going into the soul, the inside. But how did he come to that conclusion?
so,
We still don't know.
how about the last movie? He rescued his creature from the ice.
Yeah,
There could have been the link,
yeah,
and they didn't bother with that. Or like I said, if it had been like a shot hole burning down, but he fell through the floor or something,
mm,
and they rescued him. He flowed down the river, and then by flowing down the river, his body was preserved. There's loads of reasons how they could have explained it, but they just didn't bother.
no, no. and you just well, oh, I'm late.
Oh, you're not late, mate. We're just talking about how great this movie is
Yeah.
and how it's just stunning piece of cinema.
Back in the COVID times, I ordered a pizza, and the Italian bloke come up, and I opened the door, and I never had a mask on. And he went, isolate, isolate. I went, no, mate. I said, you're not late. Don't worry about it.
There we go.
I promise to be here to provide emotional support. Yeah,
Uh, we might need it because
you need that after this film, mate.
this is terrible. It's
Yeah,
like we've seen some stinkers, but they're sort of like B movies in the Hammer franchise, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But
But
this is meant to be one of their tentpole pieces, and
even the equipment didn't make sense. The stuff that he was doing on the bodies, because in previous films, he always seemed to explain what each piece was doing. Like um,
well,
yeah.
last we've had 3 movies.
And this one, you had to guess what they were doing
Yeah.
because he didn't have to. Why were the umbrella things there? Were the zappers that made everything light up? But why?
Yeah. And why did he need to work upstairs?
Yeah, yeah. And usually their things were in the basement, weren't they?
Yeah.
Labs.
But he needed to work upstairs for some random reason.
Yeah.
It, this isn't even a good story. It's not even like a good Frankenstein movie or a bad. It's just a bad story. It's a nonsensical film.
Yeah. Just one of those that's made just for the sake of making a film, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It is a shame because the Frankenstein franchise is there to to entertain, really.
Well, that's what I said. It's one of the tentpole franchise. Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Mummy were the tentpole franchises.
Yeah. I must say, the Frankenstein ones, I did prefer the days of Boris Karloff back in the 30s.
Yeah.
Um,
Who
so
knows? We might get to look at those sometime when we actually finish this series.
I did enjoy because they just made more sense. The monster didn't speak, but he had
Mhm.
all the time. And
Funny enough, the little girl, the little girl scene popped up
yeah.
on YouTube, a clip.
Oh right, yeah,
And of course, you have to watch it again. And you're
yeah.
just like, yeah, that would have freaked people out back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it was innocent, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like the monster is not the blame. You can actually feel the confusion and frustration
yeah, yeah.
and
Because in a similar fashion, if you take things like um, when I went to London to see the Phantom of the Opera musical, I was explaining to Co actually the other day. There's two ways you can go for the Phantom. You can either feel sorry for him, or you can feel anger towards him. And if you feel sorry for him, it's because the girl is using him, um, for her singing lessons and to get ahead in the theatre. And then she dumps him afterwards.
Mhm.
That's the Phantom of the Opera in London. But if you feel anger towards him, he's fighting above his level, really. But it's the same with Frankenstein. It's a scary thing, but and I think the 30s ones, the Boris Karloff ones, were really scary.
Mhm.
If you take it back to 1930s when people weren't used to this sort of thing. And I think they were a lot more scary than the ones we're getting here, because these just seem to be entertainment.
Yeah,
And
but they're not. This one isn't even entertainment.
no, it's not even scary, is it? You like you said, the bit with the girl in the 30s, Frankenstein. Back then, you would go, "Oh my God, it's going to get the girl," And but these, you just think, "Oh well, yeah." He's give up performing experiments on blokes. He's now doing it with girls, and she's just going around taking revenge. Yeah,
But the type, right? Even leading up that, like everything that leads up that is so contrived. Okay, so Frankenstein realizes he can stay dead or, be brought back after an hour.
yeah.
Um,
And why did he decide on an hour? Why didn't he say, "Oh, bring me back after 2 hours"? What was the sense of the 1 hour?
because they needed to bribe the guard, bring the bodies. You know what I mean? They needed that scene.
Yeah,
It's all everything in this is just okay because we need this scene or we need to have pad it out. I don't know how this was written, and unfortunately, none of them are left alive to ask. I'd be like, "Excuse me, I want to word with you to explain these choices you made, good sir." That's the thing. Now you'd be wanting to get the director on, Terence Fisher, and right, all right. Can't remember who wrote it, but you just want to get them on and go, "Oi, what he's doing here?"
Is it Jimmy Sangsbury? No, Anthony Hines. Because they seem to be the main two, don't they? Jimmy
Yeah,
Sangsbury.
I've seen Anthony before in many things.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, he wrote the script for the original Dracula. Journey to the Unknown. Die, Die, My Darling. He wrote that. That was The Evil of Frankenstein.
yeah,
He wrote the Phantom of the Opera. Oh, there you go. That's the thing, right? He wrote The Evil of Frankenstein, and he wrote the Phantom of the Opera, which weren't great. But then he also wrote The Curse of the Werewolf.
yeah.
But then he also wrote The Brides of Dracula, which wasn't great either.
No.
The Revenge of Frankenstein was good. Dracula was good.
I suppose, see, as a writer,
Quatermass, The Curse of Frankenstein, Acts the Unknown was good. The original Quatermass Experiment he wrote.
as a writer, I take a look at my reviews. I guess I listen to them, but in some ways I don't. It depends on how they're written.
Hmm.
But I can honestly say that I've written a book before just to get a book out, and it's been pretty standard. And yet the one before and the one after have done very well and have been stories with twisting. Um, so I can probably understand that these writers might have been asked to script something. They probably thought, "Oh God, uh, you know, oh, I need to write it. I need to earn some money."
Yeah, it's a job. It's the.
Just get something out. So yeah,
But it's just interesting. His range of when he writes really well, he writes really well, and it translates on the screen.
yeah,
But when he's not, like he wrote the script for the Hound of the Baskervilles.
yeah,
That's one of the greatest Sherlock Holmes
very good.
movies, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. But, this is a young Thorley Walters, who's in this film, is actually a Devon lad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a Devon. Um, I think he's gone. He's dead because he was quite old in the.
Yeah, I don't think anyone involved with Hammer, at this period's left.
1991, Thorley Walters
Mm.
died. He was from my area of Old Devon. So, yeah.
Lovely part of the world.
So you didn't go, "Oh, it's Frankenstein's monster." It is, yeah. Horror.
I just, I love the fact as well that they're supposed to be in the middle of Europe and everyone's just using received pronunciation.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
And it's just okay. Well, I sort of forget it. I forgive them at this point for that, because it's been constant throughout the franchise.
Yeah.
But this script, this storyline, I just can't.
When the three idiots they watched the landlord leave, didn't they? And then
Yeah, but even before that, there, if you think about how we meet Christina, etc., these three dandies, upper middle class toffs, what are they going down to the village for in the first place?
yeah,
To go to the local inn? It makes no sense.
you've understood. They kept mentioning, "Oh, my dad, my dad." Um, if they had said, "Oh, well, he rents the building off my dad, and we've got a right to come in there," that would have made sense. But they just come down and went, "Yes, my dad," and they didn't explain whose dad was.
But he's in charge of public licenses.
Yeah, um, and but then again, even if someone you think if someone was nasty to your daughter in that way, you would have bloody fought tooth and nail, wouldn't you?
Well, got
And
chinned.
yeah,
Well, it's funny because whenever that all happens, and the new landlord just kicks him out, and the whole idea of threatening him's out the window.
yeah,
The new
yeah.
landlord of the place just doesn't take any nonsense.
But he leaves the pub, doesn't he? And leaves the door open. You know, anyone with common sense just wouldn't have done that. But, and they go back and one goes to break in and the other one just more or less goes, "Oh no, door's open. Let's go in." And
Yeah, but even before, like the fact they'll come in and also they use every seat in the bloody place,
yeah, yeah,
and yeah, the whole point of this is that obviously Hans is going down to get a bottle of champagne
mm.
because yeah, I thought the idea was he's going to get a bottle of champagne to bring back to the house. So why are Frankenstein and Hertz going out then for a meal?
Yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't they just got the champagne when they went down there if that was their plan to stay?
You would have thought so. Thought so.
So once again, what the hell?
Yeah.
Surely they were having food prepared. Because if they were going to plan to go out, they wouldn't have needed Hans to do that in the first place. So once again, this is all contrived and just
Who prepared
we
the
need to
food?
get Hans to there so he can react to Christina being bullied.
Who was preparing the food in the pub? It's as if they had a menu on the wall, and special today's.
Magic. The same way they rescued Frankenstein from the fire.
Yeah.
Magic box makes the food, it's almost less than an hour, it comes out.
I wouldn't have trusted a meal from that bloody landlord, which. Oh,
Uh,
it would have
and
been like
Christina wasn't making it.
they could have got my dad. My mum come out of hospital after having me, right? And my dad goes, "I've made you a meal, a tin of Heinz tomato soup with 3 potatoes in." He boiled the potatoes separately and dumped them in the tomato soup. My mum always used to tell me.
My mum did that with vegetable soup.
Yeah.
That was the thing I grew up with. And my mum would, they'd boil the potatoes and slice them and put them in the bottom of the soup,
Yeah.
like on the bowl.
3 half potatoes, like you would have roasties.
Yeah. Oh
Just
god, right.
absolutely served it up.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's just not half a clue.
that's what I would have expected from this landlord.
Yeah. Well, I saw the processed peas anyway. It's always
Yeah,
having those sort of they're eating is always processed peas.
yeah,
But nothing in this movie, nothing makes sense. From one scene to the next, nothing joins up. There's no motivation for any of the characters.
no continuity really from
No.
previous.
No, but from the previous, not even from the previous movie, but from scene to scene, there's no continuity because nothing joins up. It doesn't make sense.
No. And
Like,
just the whole film is a why,
yeah,
how does that happen? well, she's dead. Why are they taking them to the doctor and saying, "Can you do something?" Oh yeah, of course I can.
Yeah. Also, her jumping off the bridge, like, no,
Oh,
no.
you just wouldn't have died, would you?
But you might have bruised your shins,
Yeah,
but there's no way.
no, and if anything, it would the tide that was there would have just washed her right into the side.
Yeah, but there
But
wasn't even a tide. It was like
mm,
it was like a canal.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, the fight scene, the fight scenes haven't got any better.
oh no. What was the production time to make the Hammer movie? Was it like April style?
Or you're thinking of Seventh Street? They have like 11 days. I think actors start take a bit longer with their films. I don't know, but this script was written in the back of a cigarette packet,
Yeah,
and yeah, it had about as much thought.
yeah,
You see, modern film students do better with a camera, with a camera phone, and put more thought into it. This was just lazy.
that film I sent you from City College, that made more sense, didn't it? That
Hmm.
was so good. Was it Red, White, and Blood? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
Back
but that's
then.
not. You can tell the people were trying to make a movie, trying to tell a story. This wasn't,
No.
and I just don't know the thought process.
Mm. Seems like they pump these movies out very quickly, and it shows.
I think so, because don't forget, Hammer don't just do a horror, or didn't just do horror back in the day. They did the whole adventure series, and um, they did the Sinbad movies and the Sherlock Holmes movies and all that. So they're sort of running these out of the same studio.
Yeah.
See, you're starting to get a bit of a production line feel to
Yeah.
these things.
Shows as well because you see the same scenery in certain films, don't you? Like,
The sawmill is the best one. I'm surprised I didn't see it in this one.
yeah, yeah,
The sawmill has it appeared in about 3 or 4 movies.
yeah. It's like when they do a scene from the London Underground. The London Underground's got one station
Hmm.
that is closed at night, which they allow film companies to use, and they can only shut it down for 3 hours. So if you see a film with a London Underground scene, it's always the same station.
Yeah,
From American Werewolf in London right through to Rise of the Foot Soldier and all things like that. It's always the same station.
hasn't changed.
Yeah,
Still the same tiles.
yeah, that's right.
I hate the tube.
Yeah,
That's why I won't commute across London. I don't
no,
care how well paid the job is. I'm not doing it. It's not so bad in the morning because these can leave at different times in the morning. But see at 5:30, everyone's out at the same time, and then you're nose to the armpit with some rando
yeah,
for like
no,
an hour or two. I just can't do it.
no. There was one on the tube when I went up for the London Marathon, and some guy, like I said, the tube was chock a block. We were like that all the way through. Some guy decided him, his wife, and his 3 teenage kids was all going to get on this tube, and people were shouting and saying, "You can't get on! It's too full. You just can't get on." Oh, I'm getting on. I'm getting. He got on. He said, "These are my 3 kids. They're getting on," and he tried to force in as we were forcing.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's every day. I did that for a year, and I'm like, nah,
oh I wanted to
I'm
stomp.
I'm never doing it again. I don't care. It's shit.
Mm,
Like I said, you can leave early enough in the morning that it's not as bad, but it's see the afternoon or nighttime. Oh god,
yeah.
it's horrible.
Ah.
But
Coach
yeah, so
comes
we've got these three bullies. These are the the antagonist in this movie.
Cole's coming down to make me a coffee.
I'll have another tea, thanks.
Yeah, he wants tea there, so.
Our champion runner.
Yeah. He did very well. It was hot.
Yeah, it's fair play to him. But I don't know what else to say about this. Is going to be a hard one to like talk about because nothing. Right, so the three antagonists are these three gents, but they've obviously nothing to do or nowhere to go. There's no high society, or there's no social circuit for them to run around.
There's no one else who's posh around. It's just those three and this imaginary father.
Yeah,
But
Anton's father, but
you get told more or less how he's upper class and how he's rich. You don't get told how those three are upper class or rich, and there's nothing around that you can see that makes it in the least like a factory or something like that where they're making their money, and you just don't know how they're or where they're from that they can make their that they can be upper class, do you?
yeah, and you're just like they're just planted in just to be annoying. We'll go. Speaking of something.
Well done, Chris. I like that one.
Yeah. Oh, I want a wah wah. We'll give you a drum, but that really should be a wah wah wah.
You're terrible.
The battle of the puns begins.
Hey, Chris, my sister had twins back along, and she said, because you're the number one uncle, you can name the twins. She says, what are you going to call the girl? I says, I'll name her after my first ever girlfriend, Denise. She says, oh, that's a nice name. She says, what are you going to call the boy then? I says, oh, that's easy, the nephew.
We're here all night, folks. That's still better than the script.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. So these three gents, that's, they go to the local village, they go to the local inn every night. They never have money. And they want to torture Christina, because she's disfigured.
Disabled, yeah.
And you're like, all right, and this is what you do every day. And then they call at her window.
Yeah.
And you're just, and this seems to be like a regular thing. And you're like, is this the extent of your life?
Yeah. But would you have, if that was the case, you killed or had someone killed for the murder, and this pretty girl then says, "Hey, I know a house that's empty. It used to belong to this really ugly girl, and who you used to take the mick of. Let's go back there and have a good time." Wouldn't have done that. It's like it's going back to the old things, isn't it, with the Dracula? Would you like to stay in my castle? Oh yeah, I will. Yeah, I've got nowhere else to sleep. He was
sensational and
yeah.
Sensational and Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way is one of my favourite Christmas movies.
What one's that?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's
the one about the toy.
Turbo Man.
I never watched that.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I've only ever seen clips. I've never watched the movie.
Silly, but brilliant.
He's trying to get like this really hot toy that everyone's after or something. Yeah.
To order for his son.
Yeah, but like I said, I've never watched it. I heard of it, but I never watched the actual movie.
Yeah, no, you got to watch it. We'll review it on the next review.
Yeah, actually, it might make more sense in this one because
more of a storyline in this one.
Yeah. Like, do the scenes join up? Like, does the next scene make sense from the last scene? Because this friggin' doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. But it's quite funny because he's like a businessman, and he goes, "Of course I will, Mrs. Smith, because you're my number one customer." And then his wife rings up and says, "Howard, where are you? And have you got the toy?" "Yes, yes, yes, I've got the toy." "Right. See you in a minute." "Okay, I will do because you're my number one customer." And then he realizes it was his wife.
Yeah, just
Real silly like that, but it's very well written. Anyway, don't talk
I
about
have a guy that rings me from head office like twice a week about stuff, and he still puts on that sing-song telephone voice.
it. Oh.
I'm like, mate, do you not know me by now? Like, and he gets confused. If you try to get him to break script, he proper has a reboot, as in Windows Error 4.04.
Yeah.
And you're like,
they,
you,
they tried to make us go by script when we answered the phone in CSW. And they had a script that you had to answer the phone. You used to have to say, "Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to CSW Group. Stephen speaking. How may I help you on this lovely day?"
I remember the first.
There were certain words you weren't allowed to say to people in work. You weren't allowed to call them darling, um, the women, and you weren't allowed to. You had to say hello, instead of morning or something like that. Hello. You know,
Yeah, I remember when I worked in when was this 2005 or something. I worked in a gym part time, and they tried to introduce the American selling techniques.
yeah.
And oh my god, they give us a script, and this. So isn't that fantastic? Isn't that wonderful? And all that shit, and you're just like, fuck off. I
Mm.
just said that straight. I'm just like, fuck. I'm not fucking doing that. Piss off. No, I'll sound like an idiot. I'm not doing it. I'm if I don't sell enough memberships, then have a chat with me then. But
Yeah.
no.
They just didn't, because I was always joking around. They just didn't like my sense of humour, and
You see this
put up with it because um, a lot of the people I used to deal with used to like my sense of humour because I would always joke around first to relax the situation,
mhm.
on to business afterwards. And they used to like that. I mean, I had one woman, she used to call me Mr. Speedos because she rung up one day and she says, "Oh, it's hot today, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah." I says, "On the way here," I says, "I went for a swim on the hole in my Speedos." That's all I said.
Mhm.
And when she came to the office to meet me, she went, it sort of surprised her that, she was expecting some slim guy who wore Speedos. So the joke was then, "Oh, is Speedos in? Can I speak to Mr. Speedos, please?" But the people the upper, can't possibly talk like that to customers. I said, "Well, they talk to me like it.
It's like if it's working and there's a rapport.
Just didn't
uh,
get my sense of humor." Mm.
yeah, I don't get that. If you talk to somebody, you talk to somebody how you're comfortable, and you sort of know quite quickly either to be
Well,
formal
look,
or informal.
play out the situation. I mean, the ones you can get away with it's a skill. The ones you can get away with it, you get away with it. And the ones who you think this is a serious person, you just don't do it. But
It seems like they don't want you to have skill anymore, and they think they write this script and that's it. And then they don't understand that they're just winding people up. I hate that. Somebody talks to me and just has to go through the script. I'm
yeah,
like, what's the point? Go away.
yeah.
Um,
It's the
although they could have done with some of those people writing this script,
yeah,
because that would have even been better than this.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Saying that the latest Den of Thieves movie is awful. The first Den of Thieves with Gerard Butler was well scripted. It was action packed, and they've just released Den of Thieves Pantera on Amazon Prime. Should have known better. It's an Amazon Prime film.
Yeah, there you go. That's your red flag right there.
And I was sat there 2 hours 27 minutes of waiting for something to happen. Something does happen after 1 hour 35 minutes. There's a little bit of action, a little tiddly bit. Then it goes back to the script is more or less, hello Colin, hello Steve, how are you doing Colin? I'm okay Steve. And it's like that all the time. There's no
Dynamics or yeah.
The first one is they rattle off the speech and shout at each other, and they're one's a cop, one's a gangster, and it's brilliantly scripted. This one is hello, how are you doing? I'm all right, thanks. And it's one on one. One line of speech, one line of speech, one line of speech, and it's just so boring. I sat there with my mouth open and Cole didn't even bother watching it.
Nah,
on his phone,
Yeah. That's when when you start playing with your phone or just wigging out, you know that you're not having a good time.
No, that's right.
And it took 57 minutes of this movie before we even got to see the main experiment, which is supposed to be Frankenstein Created Woman, which he didn't. He just inserted hands into her brain.
Yeah.
He didn't create anything. He just zapped her with hand rays.
Yeah. It was like a transplant, really, wasn't it? Of soul. And he done a little bit to her face, didn't he? But that was just plastic surgery. That wasn't a creation.
No. Although, in fairness, if that's his plastic surgery skills, it could be used today. Because do you see that idiots that went up and supposedly went up into space?
Yeah.
God, how much Botox was in that? They all look the same. They've all got the same face because they've all had the same plastic surgeon. It's horrendous.
Yeah. I thought she looked like Barry Manilow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a horror picture. Oh, how many were there? 6 of them or something?
Yeah.
Went up in that capsule for 11 minutes, the Earth's atmosphere. Sure, what's his name? Hans, the flipping Red Bull parachutist, did the highest parachute jump. He went up the same height as him in a balloon. Do you remember him? That's only 2 years ago. The balloon went up in the Earth's atmosphere, and he's in the, basically the spacesuit, and he did the parachute jump, the highest ever one. Look at it. That's bloody impressive.
Yeah.
And they're worried about him actually because of the terminal velocity, hitting that on the way down. The whole danger was that he would black out and then not be able to shoot. Because they couldn't set the meter or the altimeter or something to, automatically deploy because of the speed and stuff. It just wouldn't work. So he had to manually open and shoot, or else there's a whole documentary about it and preparing for that jump.
Never knew about that.
Oh, you gotta look that up. World's highest parachute jump, free fall parachute jump. It was from the Earth's atmosphere, and actually the balloon is just, you can see the curvature of the Earth and all. And this guy, he's got his they've got the cameras all set up, obviously, and he's got his own camera, and you feel it when he goes to do that jump. You're like, whoa. Now that's impressive.
Yeah.
And he didn't kiss the ground when he came down or hold daisies.
My parachute jump was impressive because I jumped out and pulled the ripcord and nothing happened. So I pulled the emergency and nothing happened. I was shooting down, right, hundreds of miles per hour at the ground. So this bloke went up and I went, "Oi, mate, do you know anything about parachutes?" He says, "Do you know anything about gas cookers?"
Oh dear! I got a twister in my first jump. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
So if you do the static line, it's once you go out.
Yeah.
I went arse over head because I didn't do the proper thing. So arse over head, and then the whole thing twists. Yep, your way out, and I was like, "Oh shit! Oh no!" Oof. And you actually feel yourself in the canopy. So when you scissor kick, you sort of go up and then you go thump. You're just like 10,000 feet. You're like, it's really surreal experience.
Yeah. Cole did a tandem one, but when I done mine, we did fixed line to start.
Mm-hmm.
You had so many fixed line jumps before you could do
Got to
your
do
own.
it.
Yeah. And but there was a woman who her company had paid for them all to go on, and she was pulling her pants and done all the the things with the what do they call it, had the film above it, and you had to do depending on what scene they put you in, like line overshoot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she managed to do all that all right. And of all the people that it could happen to, where chute didn't open, it was her. First jump, she
Malfunction. Was it grab, rep, pull, down, deploy? You know, I can't remember now. It's been.
You got to count to 10.
This is when I was young, you know what I mean, and actually could bounce. Now I'd kill myself just.
The guy who's teaching us, he says, you got to count to 10,000. He says, that's not 1, 2, 3. He says, it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So, skydiving.
One times. Let's see. Yeah, but it only happens to you once. You know, that's the thing, though.
You got the more of a chance of being hit by a bus, Chris. And yeah.
That's.
The thing my mum always used to say to me, she'd say, make sure you have clean underwear on, just in case you get hit by a bus. And I used to say, Mum, if I was going to get hit by a bus, clean underwear would be the last thing on my mind.
They're going to change colour anyway. If you know you're getting hit by a bus.
She always used to come out with sayings like that. And yeah, it was funny. Anyway,
yeah.
Are we getting onto this film now?
There's no plot. There's no plot left.
No.
Honestly, this is hard work. This is
Yeah, she just like goes out killing the 3 in revenge, doesn't she? And how didn't
it was so stupid? Like
they must have realised that, you know. Well, was she the only girl in the village as well? You know,
I don't know. It's like
no other females in the film, was there? I mean, normally you at least in films you at least get a barmaid, don't you?
Yeah.
But she seemed to be the only female in the film.
It's like there was only 5 people in the village until they needed extras, you know, to do stuff.
Yeah, and when she was, you know, when she had all the surgery and everything and looked pretty, and she was there sort of hanging around a bit like a prostitute, was she, on the wall, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, wouldn't they have realised, like, oh, that looks like Christina? But, you know.
Considering the fact that go there every day, you know what I mean? That's their haunt. It's the only girl that the like fixate on. And and the thing is, when they called at her window when she was in bed with Hans, they're obviously the lonely ones. Like, she's getting some, he's getting some.
Yeah.
So you could just be like, yeah, well, okay, you're out there staggered home. You've only got yourselves for company.
Yeah.
We win.
Yeah. Who else could they got their leg over with? There was no other girls in the film.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're going home to their empty beds and their preferred hand.
Yeah.
Those two are getting it on. Who's the happier? I mean, who's living the happier life?
Yeah. That's right.
They win. I just don't. The whole thing was so contrived and forced just to get. It took an hour of absolute nonsense to get to the point, and you're like, there are other Frankenstein movies in this franchise, at least had a bit of purpose, and you saw it going somewhere.
Yeah.
But this is just.
And it done its usual thing of just ending. The film just ended, didn't it? For some reason, Hammer got this thing about, right, that's the end of the story, cut.
Yeah.
You know.
Dramatic ending, Kuchin walks away.
Yeah.
No fallout, nothing. Just that's it.
Yeah.
I suppose it's in case they want to make a sequel. She'll be in the coffin next time for 1 hour, frozen.
Yeah.
There's another two of these in there.
Yeah.
I know there's at least another one.
This time must be destroyed, is it? Have you done that one yet?
Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed is the next one, and the horror of Frankenstein,
I guess not.
and Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. There's 3.
All right.
Would be. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh man, this was hard work. That kangaroo court, the bartering with even the bartering here. I've got a coat. Yeah, that's worth a bottle of champagne.
Where did they get the jewelry from? Because you never saw them again. Yeah. They had 12 people in jewelry.
That's the mean. There's nobody. You never see anybody walking around the village. It's always empty.
Yeah.
And the extras are just brought in just when they're needed, and then they disappear.
How the hell did he run the pub? Because if it wasn't for the 3 rich kids who didn't pay him anyway,
yeah,
and then you had Hans going in and having a bottle of bloody fizz on tap, wasn't it? And,
yeah, for a coat.
For a coat. Let's face it, it wasn't a lot of good coat.
It wasn't even a good coat. It was just a meh. And yeah, that was the damning evidence. Was that your coat? Well, Smile lent it to him because it was cold. That's the evidence. And you're like, who wrote this bloody script? How did you write this down, read that back, and go, that's good? I've got to put my name to that.
Yeah. And how did they know that he was wearing it?
Because there's nobody else there.
The 3 policemen goes, and they said, "Oh yeah, how did Were you in it? Yeah, you were wearing that coat earlier. How did they know? Because the police weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris likes the title that describes action. You don't see that these days. They didn't even do that with Star Wars, did they?
Oh, please, no. Please don't swear on the channel. Oh dear. Yeah, and also another contrived point, of course, is Hans getting executed. Christina comes back from her doctor's appointment. She conveniently goes away just in time so she can't stand up for him.
Yeah.
And then just comes back in time to see him executed.
Yeah.
And you're like, are you even trying? Are you even trying at this point?
And that court must have been so fast because he got arrested and
court within like 24 hours because
the jury couldn't have even deliberated, could they?
He just stood up. You can deliberate. Guilty. That was it. All right. For half a second.
Yeah. Although this is very, and yet it's reading it up on it. It's one of Martin Scorsese's favorite films.
Really?
Yeah. Top director Martin Scorsese likes this film.
Well, it's their own, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot more we can say about that.
Yeah. That's just it's not good.
No. No,
Really
definitely goes down in one of the. You know what we'll have to do when we finally finish all the Hammer ones is do a league table.
Oh yeah, like basically what was the top 3?
Number 1, worst ones to see.
Yep. The what was it? The Raspberry Awards. What was it called? The Golden Raspberries or something?
Razzies, isn't it?
The Razzies, yeah. the worst. Top three, bottom three, funniest, darkest. We'll have a bit of an overview, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then the randomly, I love the way the villagers decide to accuse Frankenstein. Like he's hardly in this, and they decide to randomly throw a brick through his window and accuse him of witchcraft. He goes, "Go away, I'm busy." And then, "Oh, you may talk to them," and then it's so casual. You got a mob outside, and this has happened to him before multiple times.
Mm.
He's just like, "Nah, whatever."
Yeah, in a lot of the Hammer films, they tend to go around throwing bricks in windows, don't
Yeah, but just the whole setup and the dialogue and everything else, you're just like, do you even care anymore?
they? No.
Like, honestly, I really feel like this was some sort of contractual obligation, or yeah, I suppose we better do one of these, and nobody wanted to do it.
Oh, we better get a Frankenstein film out because we haven't done one for a couple of years.
Yeah,
We've got to keep it in the mind.
I don't know. Part of me is glad I wasn't a moviegoer. This was my only form of entertainment in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like this is really thinking your audience is stupid, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
This is really disrespecting the audience, making something like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they do it today, don't they? They take a film that didn't do very well in the cinema and they make a sequel to it, and you think, why? Because the first one was crap. This one, the previous Frankenstein film wasn't fantastic, and suddenly they make a real stinker this time. So, I mean, surely that's saying to the audience, the next time they release a Frankenstein film, well, in this day and age, you would have gone, oh, the last one was very good. I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, I think that's the difference with today, though. That because like we've got this, and we can sit and talk and deliberate about a movie and what's going on behind it. People will actually make a choice whether or not to go see a movie, and I don't think we use hyperbolic language. No, we'll just go through the merits and misgivings of a movie, and then people can make their choice after that. But they didn't have that back then, so I think they could get away with more. But then again, there's obviously a reason why Hammer failed.
Yeah, I mean boobs as well, not girly boobs. There was a lot of shadows that could be seen in certain scenes of camera crew or whatever film crew. Shadows that weren't supposed to be there, and I didn't see any boom mics or anything. But like I said, I saw glasses that weren't even, invented.
Well, the guillotine, when we cut forward to the scene of the guillotine being all rusted,
Yeah,
and then in the same scene, he looks back and it's not rusted anymore.
rusted. No. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was an old, rusted, dilapidated, and then
When he went up, the hands went up the second time. It really looked like it had been discontinued.
Mhm.
So they said, "Oh, right, we're not going to use the guillotine anymore." Because
But he looks back in the same scene and it's back to full working order. And you're like, if they can't even get that right. Anyway, we have the Mummy Shroud next.
All right. Who's in that?
We have it's a John Gilling one, so Anthony Hines helped write it. Andre Morel, we've seen him before.
Yeah.
John Phillips.
He's that American guy, isn't he?
Yeah. God, he's in Ben-Hur.
Andre Morel. Oh, no, he's English actor. Born in London.
That may as well be American, the way every Londoner thinks they're American.
Do you remember
He was in Plague of the Zombies.
Regular zombies. Yeah.
And you haven't seen him before.
Yeah, I
Shadow of
recognise
the Cat.
the name. Yeah,
Quatermass in the Pit. So yeah, he's you recognize them.
Avengers. I was in all the sort of 60s action, the Avengers and Danger Man and
He was in Ben-Hur.
yeah, Ben-Hur. Yeah, he was in The Invisible Man, but I didn't see him in that.
Yeah, you earned that one. There you go. So
But,
in
but,
1920, an archaeological expedition discovers the tomb of an ancient Egyptian child prince. Returning home from the discovery, the expedition members soon find themselves being killed off by a mummy, which can be revived by reading the words of the prince's burial shroud. Oh, we've got a papier-mâché mummy suit.
yeah.
Christopher Lee's was the best one.
Oh, Michael Ripper's in it as well.
Excellent.
Should be good. Michael Ripper's in
We could have done with Michael Ripper in this one, just to probably he might have saved the movie.
it.
But yeah, we've got that papier-mâché mask.
I can see that with the horns.
And you're just like, nah. That's what I said. Christopher Lee's mummy costume has to be the best.
Yeah.
Like, it was believable. And even, especially after he went and did the water scene, the swamp scene.
Yeah.
Like, it just
worked.
worked.
It was believable, wasn't it? Very believable.
But the last mummy movie we watched, what was that one? That was awful.
Yeah.
The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. It's all just not like that.
Yeah. Oh,
Mummy's Shroud is much better. Right, okay.
The guy who plays the mummy in this film was a stuntman who often doubled as Dracula for Christopher Lee.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you know, like you have the self-sharpening scissors or the self-sharpening knives goes into the thing? That's what the guillotine does. It drops and then it sharpens itself and then goes back up. One of them things.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Mummy's Shroud is so much better than Frankenstein Created Woman.
Yeah, this isn't exactly a high bar.
No.
This has to be one of the worst movies.
Yeah. In
fact, this has to be one of the worst movies I've watched.
It's definitely in the list, isn't it?
Yeah. This is close to The Crow, 2024.
Don't talk about that. That's another one that I'm going.
Yeah, I would put this in the same league as The Crow 2024, being that bad.
Yeah. Well, you say about The Crow, this is what I said, this Den of Thieves Pantera. It's like, when's the action going to happen?
Yeah, well.
There we go.
That is it for another one.
See me. Just like my school homework, this film is 3 out of 10. See me. That's what the teacher used to.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you've got to see me after class. Mr. Hines, you've yeah. Anthony Hines, you have got to fail.
Yeah.
Terence Fisher, we expected better from you. You know you can do better. The Perry's.
You're fired.
See, when I finish off my MVQ level 2 in necromancy, I'm going to have words with these chaps about their choices.
Yeah. There you
go. There's another one. Thanks as always, Steve. Great to have. We'll have a laugh if nothing else.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun just to riff on a terrible movie. Thanks very much for turning up. Great to see the chat alive and buzzing. It's great to have you all there. That's what makes this fun to do, because of our life. And tangents are great because we needed
What
something.
was it
This
I
was
used for again?
Hmm?
Oh yeah, the film, wasn't it?
Yeah, that I
What was it called?
yeah, I will have forgotten this. But there you go. Until next time, keep up the channel, do the type of clicky things, and remember, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.